morning, good morning. A pleasant good morning to one and all. Good morning, a pleasant good Monday morning to one and all. Welcome to this episode, this Monday episode of Speaking Out, Exposing Corruption and Incompetence. Here we are, Monday, September the 11th, 2023. You asked for it, and here we are. You asked for a second program, a second weekly program, and we have obliged, and here we are today to bring you this. Today's the first for the week, but as we said, twice a week, Monday at 11, and then we'll have our regular program on Wednesday at 11. So welcome to the students, and again, I must say how impressed I am to see students in the schoolyard since last night. I hope mosquitoes didn't bite you, because you have dengue and you have all of these vector-borne diseases. So I hope that you took good care of yourself while you were in the schoolyard last night. So from very early, we will see when we come to the roll call, how people were here very, very early this morning or last night for this class today. And I noted some people have forgotten. Some people said they actually forgot that we were going to be here today, Monday. And I suspect some of the regular students have also forgotten. But this is going to be on Facebook. It's going to be on YouTube. So for those who miss the live, will not really miss anything, because they can get to look at it in their own time. And it is even more important now that you subscribe to the YouTube channel and you follow the page on Facebook. That is Speaking Out, Exposing Corruption and Incompetence. Follow the page on Facebook, and you will know whenever we go live. I know that many persons have not followed. I can see it. When I check, I can see we have lots of students who are regulars, but they have not followed the page on Facebook. So please follow Speaking Out on Facebook, and that will help to popularize the program even more. I know we have been growing exponentially, and thank you for your support, and we will continue to do our very best. You know what, today is 9/11. A day 22 years ago, when the whole world changed. September 11, 2001, it was, when the terrorists flew those planes into the World Trade Center, killing almost 3,000 persons. So today is that day, and if you check the TV in the States, they are marking that anniversary in the usual very solemn way. So, I too am in mourning, more or less, those persons who died in 9/11, and the many persons who have died on the roads in Guyana, including those over the last weekend there. And as I indicated in the notification, that is what we are going to focus on today, the continued carnage, or the continuing carnage on the roads in Guyana. That will be the main focus of this episode of Speaking Out, Exposing Corruption and Incompetence today. My colleague, my co-host, my co-accused is already in the studio, waiting and ready to go. So welcome. And let me say that, as we said, I am going to do the roll call. And when you do the roll call, you will see what is going on. There were not as many students in the class and the schoolyard last night and this morning as on Wednesdays. But I suspect that is because of the newness. And even Vibert is saying that he had forgotten that today we would have had this program. And I suspect that because he has subscribed to the channel, he would have gotten the notification. So please subscribe. Please follow the page on Facebook, and you will get notifications whenever we go live. We say this is the day that the Lord has made. Let's rejoice and be glad in it. We have to be thankful for being in the land of the living. And let me do the roll call before I go on to anything else. Very interesting people are here. On this, I am always pleased when I see people. Look, the roll call. Family music, take a bow. You were here very early last evening. Family music was here 9:21 p.m. That's last night. He slept in the schoolyard. And he wasn't lonely for long, because shortly thereafter, Wayne from the UK joined him in the schoolyard. And then Leslie have become a real regular now. Leslie says he's in the schoolyard. He's sleeping in the schoolyard tonight. And he gets small barbecue grill. Cannot miss class. It is too informative. And yet again, today we'll give you a lot of information. Patricia was here. And then we had Patricia came in. She said she can't miss this program. Can't miss. She's a regular. Come from New Jersey. Ex-police 8218 in the classroom. Since 11:34 p.m. last night, he was here. Then Kevin came in at 11:35. Natasha at 11:39. And then early this morning, the first man, as soon after midnight, was Stephen. Stephen came in. He said that he's speaking out where the truth is heard. Yeah. We're going to tell you the truth. Then Maureen came in and she said she's going to relax. She's day off. So she's going to relax and she's going to listen to this program. She's not going to miss it. Lucius, welcome. 1:54 this morning, Lucius came in. Then Jakey came in and Jakey came out the schoolyard and he came back in the schoolyard a little later. I saw that, Jakey. I saw that. Then Patricia was here. She said she anxiously awaiting initial Monday program. Lots of issues to discuss. Lots of issues indeed. Cecile came in next. Then we had, after Cecile, then we had Felicia. Felicia came in at 4:46 this morning. Stian came in at 5:05. Melissa came in at 5:36. Rohan, my friend, came in at 6:07. Then Jacko came in and he wants us to know now he's back in Georgia. He's back in Georgia. A few weeks ago, he was in Corriverton and the quarantine. Then our girl Tessa came in at 6:27. Carville came in. And Carville, welcome. Carville is a squad mate of mine, 9390. Carville, Carol came in at 6:46. I can't recall seeing him before, so welcome, Squaddy. Sean came in next. Sean is a regular. Sean, don't ever miss this program. Barlett all the way from Linden. He's in class. Barlett is in class. Denise is here at 6:50. John came in at the same time. And then my countryman, George, came in at 6:52. And George says he's in the schoolyard waiting. He's always looking at the program every week. So even when he doesn't comment, he's saying that he's always there looking. Isabella came in at 8:04. Mandela Gandhi came in at 8:10. Ral came in at 8:23. Ral is the next regular. Ral don't miss this program. Then 8:32. The original black man came in at 8:32. My squad mate Taylor came in at 8:43. And he's saying here, he's talking about, could he want us to comment on the Route 45 and taxi mafia scheme. I read it this morning, Squaddy. I read it, and if time permits, I'm going to make some comments on it. Then we had Filippo came in at 8:45. Keelan came in next. And as I said, okay, Jakey came back in. He left the class and he came back in. Then we had Everett from Texas came in. Brian came in at 10:01. David at 10:15. Floyd came in at 10. He came twice at 10:20, and he said he remember we changed it. Me and Tapin. That was one of my contemporaries. CC squad for 7 days confinement to barrack. CB with drill. You ain't talk about the drill part. The CB wasn't the part, but it's that 1 hour midday train from 1 to 2. So I hope it changed you for the better, Floyd. Court came in next at 10:26. So he waited for plenty of credible and valuable information. All was in class, telling us to keep us informed. We will. Courtney came in at 10:31. Dwayne came in next. Then we had Caroline Vibord from the East Bank was here. Then we have Carol Francis from Melanie, East Coast man. Colin came in at 10:43. Then Chilo was next at 10:49. Marlene came in. And then when we went live for the pauses on Facebook, the first was Simone. Then we had Joan. Then we had Karen, Lynette, Rhonda, and Umu, Pamela, and many others. As you know, we will come back again to big up those persons. Well, let me make a start. First, I want to, as I indicated today, 9/11, the day that changed the world 22 years ago, when those two planes flew into the World Trade Center. And a Guyanese was involved. I remember Nizam Hafiz, he was a cricketer, and I was looking at the TV this morning just in time when they called his name, because they would normally call out all the names of the persons who perished, and Nizam Hafiz's name was called there this morning. So again, condolences to all of the relatives. 22 years, ago, it was 22 years. And it's just one of those days that you ask yourself, people ask you, where were you when this incident occurred? Where were you when on the 11th of September 2001, when the two planes flew into the World Trade Center, the two terrorist attack, and there was also the one in Pennsylvania, but I think it was Flight 93 that was brought down in Pennsylvania. I will never forget that day. I was a commander in Borbies. I fell a few weeks before, and I struck my shoulder, and I was doing therapy. So I was at the clinic there doing therapy. I think I actually saw on the TV when the second plane flew into the second tower. And that is what convinced me, and perhaps a lot of people, that the first one was not merely an accident, because there was speculation as to whether that one was just an accident, that's the first plane. But after you saw the second one going in and you realize it was not a replay, then you realize, hey, this is a real attack. So yes, I was in Borbies at the time. As I've said, it's one of those times when people ask you, where were you when this incident occurred? So yes, 9/11, and it was going to be observed in the US. You look at the TV, they are going through that memorial, that observation. Now, the next thing I want to, before I bring in CC, I'm sure he's going to want to say something about that. Last week, we announced the final arrangement for the late Deputy Commissioner Cecil Skip Roberts. He was laid to rest. I'm not sure he was buried or cremated last Saturday in Georgia, USA. And the thing was streamed live. I was able to see a part of it. Most part I was able to see. They had some issues. And this is something people got to realize. One of the main issues, when you are going to go on a Zoom program, and this is, again, teaching, passing information, one of the first things you do once you log on, you should mute your microphone. Even if you don't turn off the camera, mute your microphone so you do not disturb the proceedings. And many microphones were not muted, and therefore lots of background noise with children crying and conversation going on. So lots of the tributes that were paid, you couldn't really hear what they were saying. For example, I recognized retired Major General Norm McLean there paying a tribute, but I could hardly hear what he was saying. Nicholas Sofrain from the Ex-Police Association of Guyana was there as well, and you could hardly hear too what he was saying. Later, because the administrator, the person who was controlling, people were telling him, viewers like myself were telling him to mute the mic, because he could have muted the mic, being the administrator, mute the mic of all the persons who were on the stream. But he didn't do that until late. By that time, we were able to catch some of the tributes and so on. It was noticeable. As I've said, retired Major General Norm McLean was there. And I know I announced last week that Major General Norman McLean, Cecil Skip Roberts, and Cecil Glasgow were the first 3 cadet officers in the Guyana Police Force on August 1, 1958. So I think Mr. McLean felt it necessary there to go and pay a tribute. But, it was noticeable that there was no tribute from the Guyana Police Force, unless I missed that part. There was no tribute from the Guyana Police Force. There was also, I know the protocol is, Skip is a national awardee. He got the Discipline Service Medal. And I know the protocol is, and this is a government protocol, not police protocol, that when a national awardee is being buried, at that service, someone is there with a cushion with the medal. But that wasn't there. I did not see that. And just in case you're going to say, well, it's because it's overseas, I recall last year, August, during the funeral service of the late Lieutenant Colonel Artley Liverpool. I was at that funeral service, and the government was represented. The GDF force was represented by Colonel Khan, who is now the chief of staff. The government was represented by the Consul General from New York. He went to the place there. And I saw also paying tribute was the National Security Advisor, Jerry Govai. I don't know in what capacity he paid tribute, but during the course of Artley Liverpool's arrangement, they had those representation. For some reason, they felt that perhaps it wasn't necessary to pay the same tribute to an outstanding policeman like Skip Roberts. But as I've said, standards have really, really, really fallen. This is not about Skip, whether you had liked him or not. He was an outstanding policeman who served. He received a national award. And there's a protocol to deal with people who receive national awards and die. Even civilians. If you're in Guyana, some senior NCO from the Guyana Defense Force will be there. There's a cushion. The medal will be placed on the cushion, and he's there standing appropriately at attention, I think, until during a particular time during the service. And here we have it. Nothing for Skip. Nothing for Skip. And it's a disgrace, not to the family of Skip, but to Guyana, to the police force, and to Guyana man who served for all those years, right? And then moving on, let me I got news too that ex-policeman by the name of Mike Beard passed away recently. I can't remember Beard, but I was told that he was in the K9 section, and he worked in New Amsterdam, I understand. I'm told he became a lawyer, and he practiced and lived in New Amsterdam, but the news coming to hand that he passed away recently. So let me bring in my colleague, Mr. Conway. CC, good morning. Hope you had a good weekend.
Yeah, a nice quiet weekend, and had a nice little surprise for my birthday, which was Wednesday, and then a whole set of family invaded me on Saturday evening. But it was wonderful. I'm happy to be in the land of the living. I remember 911 well. As you mentioned, over 3,000 persons didn't make it. I was the commander in ENF division in charge of region 1, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And I visited Lethem, and I shot in Karasabai. And I came out through Ogle. And when I reached home, Paul, I turned on the television, and there I saw a aircraft crashing into the Twin Tower. And I thought, why are they showing pictures this time of the day? And then reality struck me that it was real life, that the plane had gone into the tower, and we know the rest is in our history. But I'm happy that we were able today to have extra day, an extra day to extend the work of the Lord, and we'll continue to do that. Whether it's a Monday or some other days, we'll find time to do the work of the Lord.
We must find time to do the work of the Lord. This thing is getting under the skin, They don't want to hear the truth. And we are saying to them, and I repeat again, if we say anything on this program that is untrue, call us out. Call us out. But what they're doing, they're sending these trolls, they come on Facebook, and as I said, I get in pleasure blocking them and deleting the comments and all this out there, because this is not a democracy. This is our program. And therefore, we reserve the right, if you're going to come here and speak stupidness, untruth, and calling out, cussing people and all of that, I'm going to block you. I have no apologies for that. I am going to block you. We don't want the like. Those people who want information, we are going to give you information. If we say anything that you believe that is not truthful and you can call us out, do that. Do that. I wrote a letter which was published yesterday in Stabrook News and Kaito News in relation to the statement from the Attorney General about API being appointed unlawfully and unconstitutionally by the APNU plus AFC government. I wrote a letter, and I challenged them to prove anything that I've said in that letter to be untrue. I challenge them, and the same thing on this program. We are going to speak the truth. The truth may be uncomfortable to some, but that is on them. That is not on us. That is on them. We will continue to speak the truth. As I've said today, we're going to deal with this out of control traffic lawlessness. But before we go to that, let me shout out belated birthday greetings to Neil Semple, Senior Superintendent, retired Neil Semple. I should have, he celebrated the birthday since earlier this week, last week. And somehow it missed me on Wednesday. And, you know, one of the students reminded me that Semple also celebrated a birthday recently. So, Neil, my apologies for that. I owe you a beer whenever you reach. But I hope you enjoyed your day. And recently also, I almost a retired woman superintendent, Denise Griffith, but she's not retired as yet. Denise Griffith, who is on pre-retirement leave, recently celebrated a birthday. So she's still a member of the force because, as we have been saying on this program, the protocol is that you, on your birthday, on your birth month, for example, you work until, or you're a member of the force until the last day of your birth month. And in the first day of the new month, then you're a civilian. So in Denny's case, she's going to be a member of the force until the last day of September, 30 days September. So the last day, the 30th. And from the 1st of October, she is going to be a civilian. We made that point with the case of the man who is squatting in the chair. He born on the 22nd of July, and therefore he would have been a member of the force until the 31st of July. But on the first day of August, he was a civilian. So we will continue to give you these nuggets. We're going to continue to give you these nuggets. For the cricket fans, CPL is in the air. The teams are traveling today to Guyana, having passed through Trinidad. The Warriors pulled off a victory yesterday. It was against Barbados Royals, a very good victory. So they remain the only unbeaten team. And hope is not deja vu. If you recall, cricket fans, Gavin and Jacko and CC and all these people, some years ago, they did us just that. Won every game right through to the finals. And then when we were all hyped up, then they let us down. So people are saying that this year is going to be the year, but yesterday did not portend too well because the women lost yesterday, and hope the men are going to do better going through. But I see it, it looked like if it's the TKR, Trinidad, and Warriors, it looked like those are the two teams that are going to slug it out. But let's see what will happen. And this morning I was looking at the Asia Cup, Pakistan and India, which is now like a world war. The match started yesterday, but because of inclement weather, it continued today. They had that provision for the match to play today. And India amassed 356 for 2. So, Virat, another 100. KL Rahul, another 100. And in scoring that 100, Virat became surpassed 13,000 runs in ODI cricket. Imagine that. 13,000 Virat the boss surpassed. The Pakistan had started the reply. They were 44 for 2. Babar Azam had gone back to the pavilion, and then rain came again. But the forecast is for rain, so that might be a washout. The forecast is for rain. And then we have England and New Zealand slugging it out there. New Zealand won the first ODI, and rain again curtailed this one yesterday, and England leveled the series. So for us cricket fans, sporting fans, we have a lot to look forward to over the next month or so. But for the Guyanese, let's hope that you have a good and safe CPL. Good and safe CPL. Now moving on. Let me as I've said, we're gonna talk about the accidents. And the theme today is the out of control carnage on the roads in Guyana. Out of control. And let me highlight from the last time we spoke about the carnage on the road. That would have been 2 weeks ago. Last week we did not. Last week, Wednesday, we did not, because we said we didn't want to start this conversation and time would catch up with it. So we are going to deal with it today, almost exclusively. And I have the notes. It started out the 30th of August. They had a headline: baby dies in car collision in Sophia. A 10-month-old baby died in a car collision in Sophia. Then you had the next day, a biker dies following a Rosal tongue accident. He had a crash at Rosal Quarantine. He died in that accident. Then we had one where a festival city man dies in a crash on Mandela Avenue. That's Mandela Avenue and Cemetery Road. I'm going to tell you something more about that a little later. Died in a crash. That was on September 4th. Then on the 3rd, September 3rd, there was a report that a 73-year-old man from Harlem, that is West Coast, Demerara, died in an accident. And then a 71-year-old man at Maikoni on the 5th died in an accident again. Then on the same 5th, motorcycle killed in a fiery crash in Borbis. I'm going to show you that as we go on. Then we had on the 3rd of September again, and this year, I'm going to comment on it too, where a 17-year-old Sand Creek girl died after falling off a tractor. This is a young girl, indigenous girl, going to some football match, or as the Americans would say, soccer match, and she fell off a tractor and she died, right? And then they had a motorcyclist, they call it Tommy Lee, dies in North Road collision. He had a North Road collision. He died in that. And then that was Saturday the 9th. That was Saturday night, this motorcyclist died. And then the same Saturday night, this smash up at the Hoop Mahika, where 4 persons died in this accident. 4 persons. We're going to talk about it some more. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about the measures that can be taken or that should be taken to deal with this. But before I bring CC in, let me show you these. The first one I'm going to show you here is the one that I referred to on the quarantine, where the motorcyclist died. I said here, it has here accident killed, the fiery accident. Here it is. Look and see what happened here. Yeah, that is the accident. You see there, the motorcyclist is set to crash into a truck. The statement said that he overtook something, crashed into a truck, and burst into a ball of fire. And then let me show you this one. Let me show you this one.
Push move! Push move! Bang! Bang, bang, bang! Bangins! I know the baddest bomber club boss in Guyana.
Could see that there, some young man hanging out the side of a minibus. The minibus took the turn. He lost control. He fell out. Luckily, nothing was coming to run over him. But that's the type of lawlessness you have. And then look at this one. This is last night. This is last night on the. And then the one that we spoke about Saturday night, there's a CCTV footage. Look and see. Basically, what they're saying happened with that accident Saturday night. The one car was proceeding towards Borbies with this young girl, Jamila, and her father. And there's a real sad story. On another vehicle, another car proceeding in the opposite direction, and he overtook. That's the report, that the car that was coming towards Georgetown overtook a vehicle and found himself in the path of this vehicle going towards Borbies. Head-on collision. Both drivers died and 2 passengers, this young girl and her father. But what is heartrending about this whole issue is that this girl excelled in the what we call common entrance examination. From Leeds, I think it is. Excelled. The father is an employee at the Guy Oil. So there was an award for her on that day. He brought her down. Imagine how excited that little girl was. Imagine how excited the father and the relative, the mother, and all of these people were. This girl is being honored by the employees of her father. Must have been a very proud father. On his way back, this thing happened. Snuffed the life out of this 11-year-old and her father. Snuffed the life out. And what bothers me is that the people who are there to do something, I'm going to read some of the statements, some of the foolish statements they have been making. They seem incapable of taking the appropriate measures to deal with this lawlessness on the road. It is clear that they're incapable. And if you're incapable of doing what you are elected or what you have been appointed, whether legally or illegally to do, the thing to do, the honorable thing to do, but you don't have honorable people, so go home, pack up, especially since you would have passed retirement age or another. Go your way. Because every day, we had the minister saying, Minister of Home Affairs, that is, he's saying, I think he said, made a statement to the effect that the way our accidents were going is about a month ago, maybe 5 a month. He suggests that 5 a month might be acceptable. Imagine that, 5 a month. You're getting 5 a day. You're getting 5 a day. And nothing sensible is being done. Let me bring, I was so emotional when I saw that thing last evening. So emotional. CC, what is your take on those accidents and all of that?
Those accidents, it is shocking to the bone, Paul, shocking to the bone. And apparently, the movers and shakers of the Ghana police force are clueless. Even as you mentioned, the man who is squatting, all he could tell people, hey, line the road to prevent speeding. The Minister of Home Affairs very quiet apart from wild statements now and again that he's making. We mentioned earlier that this thing calls for a holistic approach towards it. There's no silver bullet. There's no quick fix. It won't happen overnight. And there's no one-shot solution to this issue. It is, I can't find words to describe it, but persons are being slaughtered, and giving figures is senseless when lives and limbs are in perpetual danger on our road. It is time, long overdue, for us to have a holistic approach towards the madness that is going on our road. But we will discuss more in details. That's my opening statement.
Yeah, thank you for that. And as I said, it is time for this thing it should be a national conversation. A national conversation. I said that it should be declared a national public health emergency. But to make all of these statements, these bland and senseless statements, I'll go through some of them and we can discuss these statements that are made. The president is reported, this is our, This is August Chronicle, August the 29th. The president said that is on the sidelines of the National Tushau Conference. He says, I have already told the police that we have to do a number of things. One, launch a massive road safety campaign across the country where you have more visual markings. So the president, to deal with this out of control situation, the president is reported to have said, and I read it again, I have already told the police that we have to do a number of things. One, launch a massive road safety campaign across the country where you have more visible markings. Oh, my Lord, what is that? Campaign? This thing gone past campaign. This is not something that the campaign is going to rectify, because we know what is what campaigns entails. The police are going to come out. They're going to charge a few people for speeding, driving under the influence, and similar offenses. And then after a few weeks or months, if so long, it's back to square one. They're going to come out, stop vehicles back. This is not about campaign, Mr. President. And I'll make some suggestions. And I have a note to say that it is time the government stop listening or stop looking to see who the messengers are and listen to the message. I have noted over the past week or so, a lot of people have come out and have written letters in the media and on social Facebook and so on with some good suggestions, some very good suggestions. And it is time people stop looking at who the messenger is. Slow and Conway, so whoever Slow and Conway say, we can't do it, so that they get the credit for making these suggestions. Let me just disregard it. Right? You disregard it and people are getting slaughtered on the roads. The president goes on to say, this is a current again chronicle of the 29th of August. He said, Dr. Ali is adamant that drinking and driving and speeding have to be addressed, but the response need to be seen as a collective responsibility. They say collectively. Why? They say as a collectively responsible. That's what he's quoting as saying. Right? Let me read back. So let me just say, but the response needs to be seen as a collectively responsibility. Right? They didn't teach me in English. The increase in road deaths are of great national concern, he said. Adding, and the quote now, and if you look, frankly speaking, a lot of accidents have to do with excessive speeding and drinking and driving. Again, it should be of national concern. I agree, that is what we have been saying. But as the head of the government, the head of that arm of the government, I would have thought that the leadership would have come from the government to put measures in place to deal with this thing. That is what I would have thought. And then it goes on here. Additionally, that's what the president is reported to have said. He advised the Commissioner of Police, acting Clifton Akin, to meet with the media to work out a public education program. And then he's quoted there saying, I asked the Commissioner of Police to meet with the media and work out a program with the media through which together we can build a strong public education program, a public awareness program in dealing with this. These piecemeal things are not going to work. They're not going to work. He goes on to say, and I'm going to analyze this before I go further. We have already moved to the electronic ticketing. In 1 month, you had over 5,000 tickets. Then he goes on to say, in July 2023, to aid in reduction in reducing road fatalities or road safety. Well, he did not say this is what the report is saying. Let me read about. In July 2023, to aid in reducing road fatalities, a road safety awareness campaign named Respect the Road was launched by the Guyana Police Force in collaboration with the government and the government of Guyana and Impressions. The acting commissioner of police during the launch of the road safety campaign said that for 2023, they had issues in excess of 4,000 traffic tickets and have had more than 2,000 persons charged with traffic offenses before the court. I mean, this thing is I can't understand what they say. Let me address this traffic ticket thing before I bring Mr. Conway in. They're saying, President said for 1 month, I don't know which one correct, because the commissioner acting, the squatter, is saying when he launched the road safety campaign, this Respect the Road, he's saying that for 2023, That is what is reported in Chronicle to have said. They had issued in excess of 4,000 traffic tickets and have more than 2,000 persons charged before the court. The president is reported to have said that, where it is, yes, we have already moved to on the electronic ticketing. And he said in 1 month, as the president, in 1 month, you had over 5,000 tickets. Who to believe, I don't know. But let me tell you this about this ticket. To say that tickets, 5,000 tickets, whether it's 5,000 for 1 month or 4,000 for the year, tickets have been issued is meaningless. We want to know what has happened. Did the persons pay those tickets? If they did not pay those tickets, did they appear before the court to contest the ticket? If they appeared and they contested, were they guilty or not guilty? Were they fined? If they did not appear, was there an ex parte trial to convict them? Were warrants issued for them to pay or be arrested to serve time in prison? That is what the traffic ticket system is all about. And let me explain it. Again, young policemen and others, take out your notebook. Let me explain. The traffic ticket is what you call a conditional summons. A traffic ticket is a conditional summons. In other words, you're issued a ticket, and the offenses to which tickets can be issued are well, I think they're still in the motor vehicle and road traffic regulations. Right? It's there. All the ticketing offenses. For example, you have like speeding. Speeding will definitely be a ticketing offense. You're caught speeding, and your ticket is written. The book is there, so they write the offense, date, time, place, person driving. And what happens then, if the person to whom the ticket is issued acknowledges that they were in the wrong, they can go to a particular court, clerk of court, whether it's Georgetown or East Coast or wherever, and they pay the whatever is the stipulated amount. They go and they pay the stipulated amount. Hold on, let me block a man here, man. Some jackass come in here and disturbing this thing. You know who is cross. Yeah. Yeah, so you go and you pay the amount. So you agree. They said that you're speeding, you clock, and you agree that you are wrong. You go and you pay within a certain time. You also have the option of contesting the ticket, where you can go before a magistrate. Back in the day, not so long ago, you used to have a traffic magistrate. And I asked the question, do they have traffic magistrate now? A magistrate who was dedicated to dealing with traffic matters in Georgetown. I remember Fitzgerald Yah being one of the traffic magistrate. All traffic cases, once you're charged with a traffic offense, went before Magistrate Fitzgerald Yah. I don't know that they have traffic magistrate now. So what happens? All right, you decide, no, the police wrong. You're going to go before the court and you're going to contest. Now, let me go back to the issuing of the ticket. Once the ticket is issued, I think it's in quadruplicate. I can't remember the exact, because I know it was done over during the time when Gadraj was Minister of Home Affairs. It was done over. The offenses and the tickets and all, the design of the traffic ticket book. Now, what happens then when the policeman goes back? In the first instance, when the ticket is issued, they're supposed to give you a date on that ticket. You're supposed to have a date on the ticket for you to go to court. So if you want to contest, the date is already there when you have to appear before the magistrate. So when the policeman goes back at the station, there's a lot of work to be done. They have to write up their records, take how many the ticket issued and all of that. They have to then have a system, and this is important to the man who is squatting there, and I hope the traffic chief and all of them know this, that this is important. You have to have a mechanism which allows you to know whether the traffic ticket was paid in the prescribed time frame, or if the person went to court and challenged the ticket. So what happens? At the station, the records are made on the date that the person is supposed to appear in court. That ticket is supposed to be in a jacket, in a case jacket, the ministerial jacket, along with a statement from the rank who issued the ticket. So it goes before the magistrate, and the case is called like any other case. this traffic case is called. The person appears and the person contests. The man who issued the ticket has to give evidence about this ticket. Whether the defendant has a lawyer or not is the next question, right? He has to appear and the magistrate will decide whether the person is guilty or not guilty. If he's guilty, of course, a fine is paid. If he's not guilty, the matter is dismissed. Now, if the person does not pay the ticket and the person fails to appear, then you have an ex parte trial on that day where the policeman appears and the policeman gives the evidence. In the absence, ex parte means in the absence of the defendant, and the magistrate will convict, most likely, because there's no defense. Now, importantly, what happens then once the person is convicted, the records of the court is there, and when you're convicted, you're given time to pay the particular fine. Now, when that time expires and the fine is not paid, a warrant is issued for the person's arrest. So it's a lot of things. It's not just issuing this ticket. It's not just president talking about 5,000 tickets. I would want to ask, of this 5,000 tickets or 4,000 tickets that were issued, how many of those tickets were paid? How many of those tickets were contested? Telling us that tickets were issued is meaningless unless you have the stats to show that the tickets were paid or the person contested the matter. Other than that, it's meaningless. It is meaningless. So telling us about all of these tickets make no sense. It makes no sense. It's just a lot of fluff and a lot of bluff, which we should, if you really want to get a grip of this situation, we should stop. So again, the traffic ticket is a system. Not just issuing, is a system which allows, and the system got to be a properly integrated system with the police and with the court. And it used to happen years ago without computers. It used to happen years ago without computers, where you know that the ticket was issued. You go to the station, write up the book. On the ticket itself, when it was issued, the date, the ticket got a pro forma. The date by which the ticket is to be paid should be stated. The date you have to appear in court to contest the ticket should be told to you or written in the ticket by the rank issuing the ticket. When the rank gets back to the station, the records have to be written up. You have to have a mechanism to know that the person paid the ticket within the stipulated time. If he paid within the stipulated time, we'll have the ticket finished. If he does not, you have to go to the court on the date specified and give the evidence so that the magistrate can air the evidence and decide to convict or not to convict the defendant. If the defendant fails to appear on the date when he's to appear, an ex parte trial is done. Ex parte means he's tried in his absence. And most likely, if he's tried in his absence, he's going to be convicted and fined, and a time given for the fine to be paid. If the fine is not paid within that given time, a warrant is issued for the arrest of that person. So again, this is free advice. Well, not advice, it's free education. Thanks, Colin. Colin's a great explanation. So let me hear what is going on. CC, let me bring you in to have a say on this part of it so far.
Paul,
Yes.
it is senseless to talk about the number of tickets being issued, whether it's 4,000 a year or 5,000 a month. It is senseless when lives and limbs are in constant peril on our roads. And when you go back to the ticket, there's no proper system to check and see whether tickets are paid. And you mentioned about the traffic magistrate. I think the last one I can recall is the magistrate Sohan somewhere in the Jiacheng Magistrate Court. I think after he left, I don't think they get any other traffic magistrate. And the thing is that you have to do quite a lot of ex parte trial. I don't know if the magistrate they do an ex parte trial. I know in my days on the East Coast, the magistrate used to say at a certain time, maybe in the afternoon or a certain day, hey, today is ex parte trial. But they don't do no ex parte trial, because remember, the person got a right to be heard and they got a right to contest. What's the right to be heard is a God-given right, and nobody must take away that right from us. That the thing is that I'm not certain whether or not they are doing ex-parte trial. It's either you go and pay the ticket, or if the time pass, you got to come to court. And if you don't come to court, it's ex-parte trial. And we used to give the evidence, a kind of regimentation, kind of evidence, one thing you repeating all the time. So I don't know what is happening, Paul.
Yeah, but again, I say for the benefit of all our viewers and the listeners, and we know they listen to, we know they get the feedback, and I don't know what type of advice the president is getting in respect to this matter, but issuing a traffic ticket, writing up the ticket and giving the ticket to one person is the beginning of the process. It is the beginning of the process. You have to make sure that the mechanism is in place for the process to go through to its finality. Other than that, you're wasting time. I have a strong suspicion that a large percentage of those tickets that are issued are not being paid, and no one is the wiser. No one is the wiser because there's no mechanism, and it's just waste of money because you have to spend a lot of money to print those traffic ticket books. People spend a lot of time writing up the traffic tickets, and then nothing happens. And to write a traffic ticket calls for some training. I don't know that a lot of the policemen who are there can write traffic ticket. That is why when they stop a person for committing an offense, they want you to go to the police station, even though it's a ticketable offense. Because back in the day, a traffic rank, you had to have the ticketable offenses written in your pocketbook with a section and everything. So if it's speeding, speeding contrary to section whatever of the Motor Vehicle and Road Traffic Act, you can write it in because that has to be written on the traffic ticket. If it's obstruction, whatever the offense, whatever the ticketable offense was written in your pocketbook so you can reference it. No one expects that a rank on the road can remember all of those things off the top of your head. Yeah, the more frequent ones like speeding, perhaps, yes. But those things are there. They have to write it in the pocketbook. You have to have it there. And it requires training, and that is what we have been emphasizing for a long time. It requires training. You have to train the ranks. Just the other day, some ranks came out of training school. They said they put them in traffic. How well were they trained? Were they trained to issue traffic tickets and all of that? Those things are important. Those things are important. And let me tell you too, statement again from attributed Kaichor News on the 6th of September to Warner Jill, said there's a level of irresponsibility that is practiced by many drivers, and one has to wonder if this is the cause of development. I want to know if irresponsibility. Let me read this back and hear what this minister of the government is saying, Look, these people can't be real. He says here, he's quoted in in Kaichor News, as saying that there's a level of irresponsibility that is practiced by many drivers, and one has to wonder if this is the cause of development. You suggested, Mr. Minister, that irresponsibility is the cause of development. That is what you meant to say. You better clarify that for the benefit of people. Because, yeah, there is a lot of irresponsibility, but I'm saying that the government has been so far irresponsible in their approach to this whole situation. They are the ones, you, Minister, and your colleagues have to lead the way. You have to lead the way. And then he goes on to say, according to Kaichor News of the 6th of September, he said that its ministry has noticed an increasingly alarming trend of excessive speeding and reckless driving on the nation's roadways, a practice that must never be condoned in a civilized society. The minister said in the last few weeks, persons younger and older, males and females, have lost their lives on the roads due to accidents reportedly caused by speeding, coupled with alcohol consumption in some instances. Now, let me address this speeding thing that we're talking about and the alcohol thing that we're talking about. I don't know that they have the scientific evidence to show that these accidents are caused by speeding. Yes, it's the notion is, yes, a lot of speeding, we know that. But if you are at the policy level, you can't just go on this notion that people speeding. You have to have data. CC, my colleague, has always been emphasizing data. So to know that, for example, the accident last Saturday night that claimed 4 lives, you have to be able to scientifically determine speed. And that shouldn't be difficult, because when you look at the damage to those two vehicles, yeah, speed must be a factor, right? So you know that this accident is as a result of speeding. You talk about alcohol consumption. I want to find out if you do any tests to determine if any test is done. For example, again in the Saturday night accident, it is said that this one driver was drunk. That's what is reported. And so much so that people were trying to prevent him from going into the vehicle to drive. And he's alleged to have said to them, if I got for dead, let me dead. Because they're saying that he was drunk. Now that he's dead and took the lives of innocent persons, a post-mortem examination would have been or would be performed on him. Do we do toxicology tests in Guyana on drivers, on pedestrians, on cyclists who may be involved in accident to determine the level of alcohol in their blood at the time of death? Do we do that? We just make these statements about alcohol and the consumption and all that. Do we do that? Yeah, with persons who are alive, get involved in an accident, you can ask them to blow into the meter, and that will give you a reading to say whether the blood alcohol content is above the legal limit. Yes, but when a person dies, what examinations, what tests are being done to determine whether they had excessive amount of alcohol in their system, and therefore that may have impaired their judgment? I don't know that that is done. So for a minister and the president and all of these people to be making these statements, you are the ones who have to ensure that these things are done so that you have proper scientific evidence. That is what informs policy, not what you believe or what you think. Scientific evidence. That is what I was taught when I went to university. It's the science. That is what I was taught when I went to the FBI Academy and Police College in the UK. That you might have a belief, you might have a notion that this is what occurs, but you have to test the hypothesis. You have to do that. You can't be making these statements without any proper test. And then the minister says, too, additionally, with these accidents, the ministry has taken note of the increased destruction of public property and warns that stricter fines and penalties will be introduced to curb this. In the case of reckless driving, these drivers will be held responsible and made to pay the cost of replacement and or repairs. As the Minister of Public Works, I joined with His Excellency President Irfan Ali and Minister of Home Affairs Roop Subian in urging the police to launch an expansive road safety campaign throughout the country to tackle the root cause of this problem. Well, let me make this point right away. Minister, and for all of these people. I will ask you this question. What is the root cause of the problem? What is the root cause of the problem? You want to launch campaign to tackle the root cause of the problem. What is the root cause of the problem? And therein lies the dilemma, because unless you know what is the root cause, what are you solving? And we have said that they have failed to address what we believe is part of the problem, and that is the 6th C, corruption. Corruption. We have said, and a lot of people writing in the newspaper, and I've said so, Starbuck News editorial said so, corruption is the elephant in the room. And in this comprehensive review that we recommended, you have to look at all of that. You have to look at that. Another root cause, I saw somebody mention it the other day, you're talking about Lorna Driver. We already addressed the corruption in that process. You have driving schools and driving instructors without any standard. No standard. There's no regulation to regulate or to govern driving schools, or who can become a driving instructor, what qualification that person has. All of those things you have to address. All of those things you have to address. Now, before I go on, let me bring in CC. CC, let me hear some of your views on what I've just said, man, and what the minister is alleged to have said.
It's good that we say we must have a holistic approach. The minister has got involved, but he focusing on the wrong things. I would expect to hear the minister talking about road engineering here and them kind of thing though. But perhaps we said that there is need for divine intervention, but he's a bishop, and I don't have confidence in the bishops in the government. Remember, you got one who's a chairman of the Police Service Commission, and he's lost a lot of credibility. Here is another one barking up the wrong tree. The thing is that they got to deal with the root causes of the accident. What they're doing, Paul, they're picking the fruits. And if you pick the fruits, more fruits going to grow. But if you cut the main root, the tree will die. So look at the main root and chop the main root. They're jumping about all about the place. And you, as you rightly say, the elephant in the room. I haven't heard any one of them, minister or president, anything, talk about corruption. And the corruption is there, both in the learner driver package and in the practical examination. We know the learner driver package, yes, it is online, and you pay your money, you buy the package. And the sad thing is that they have no checks and balance on the persons who are conducting the theoretical tests. Because Zaro give us computer centers all across the country. They're using the Zara people to conduct the thing. Nobody checking on them. Nobody do no integrity testing. Nobody do no anti-corruption testing to see whether or not the thing is being done fairly. Yeah? Zara doesn't have angels. That the thing is that people, they must check. There must be checks and balances how the learner driver package is being executed. And don't that say Zara going to do it and left Zara that. There must be checks and balances on Zara and the practical tests. What is being done? Do they do night driving? Is just the certifying officer alone? A general duty rank supposed to be there with the certifying officer, and the traffic people has got to send you a return to the commander every week saying these are the persons who will be doing the test, and at the end of it, you're supposed to send back another return to the commander to see how many persons pass and how many persons fail. There got to be checks and balances, but no, those things ain't happening. I always refer to Springlands, where Springlands are the brightest drivers, the best drivers, and they had the most serious accidents in Bobby's when my time as commander. And I discovered Springlands, if 9% did the practical, all 9 pass. All 9 pass. So I tell it, so as I say, I want 100%. I don't care what you say. I want 100%. He said that he's a certifying officer. Only he could give people license. The commander can't get anybody license. And after a while, it continued. And I sent him to Oriel, 60 miles up the Quarantine River, to certify boats. He wasn't certifying vehicles on the road. The thing is that you need to have a holistic approach towards this thingy. And the elephant in the room, Paul, they're not looking at. And this whole thing is about behavior. You mentioned about training. It is about behavior. Behavior is a major phenomenon that the police got to deal with. The behavior of road users. And not only the behavior of road users, their own behavior. They talk about robust campaigns. And we know when they get campaign, what has happened? Most time they trample on persons' basic human rights. So the thing is that the traffic ranks, as he 30 went out the other day, I don't know what kind of training they got. But for me, when you look at it, how many traffic ranks getting beat up on the road? People assaulting traffic ranks. That they need to have training, like conflict resolution. How do you resolve conflict on the road? Anger management. Effectively dealing with people. Effective investigation. Things like self-esteem, emotional intelligence. All those things are important for the police to effectively perform their duties, the training, the conflict resolution, the engagement, effectively dealing with people, effective investigation of the investigating matter, and when they go to court, the evidence isn't there and the people go along the way. I mentioned earlier on several occasions that this thing has got to be data driven. Data driven. Get the data. Establish like what we had attempted with the integrated crime information system when we were doing the citizen security program. Get the traffic data there in terms of the accidents, who committed the accidents, when it's been done, the category of road users, and the whole thing, that the whole package, when it's being committed. Is this Friday night? Is this Saturday night? What time in the night? What time is the day? And as the case may be, that they got to be based on information database. I call it 3D, data driven decisions. Look at the data telling you what is taking place, not what you expect to take place, and look at reality. You mentioned about scientific approach. Yes, it got to be that way. Look at the data, and the data will tell you, will inform you how to use your resources. And then they're not using their resources. They're left in the traffic chief on his own. I said over and over again, the divisional commanders got to be actively involved in this thing, or things gonna go haywire. The general duty ranks. Stop a general duty rank and ask, by when last you make a traffic case, and he gonna tell the skipper, oh, I can't remember, there's traffic ranks thing. All has got to be involved in this thing. And the elephant in the room, the corruption. I always have to refer to Rohan Singh, who was head of the audit and inspection unit, and in his report, he said 1,157 persons got their license illegally. Kit Nascimento, in a letter, said in his discussion, many persons who never drive any vehicle yet already got the driver's license. I check on those driving schools, and over 90% of them who went to be trained to drive already get a driver's license. So they're on the road, and we put in killers on the road. Therefore, what do we expect? Killing has got to take place.
The killing will continue to take place. Now, let me respond. Cart, I know you mean well. Cart said people must pay for your educational program. Let me tell you this. A lot of the things that I learned, a lot of things that we're speaking about here now, is Guyanese money pay for us to be educated. When I went to the staff college, and also Guyanese money, taxpayers' money. So I believe that I have an obligation to give back. And this is part of the giving back. They might not like the method, but it is part of the giving back. And let me say this too. A lot of people, I've said it before, have been writing and have been talking about the carnage on the road. Right? I saw a letter, it was on the 29th of August, from Member of Parliament Geeta Chandan Edmonds, right? Attorney at law. And the letter says that the president must declare road safety as a high national priority. And that is what we're saying. A high national priority. I say got to be declared a national emergency and measures taken. And in all of this, we read statements from the president, restatement from Minister Agil, all these people in the media, members of parliament, and people have been commenting on this thing. I have not seen a single statement in recent times from the Minister of Home Affairs. I have not seen a single statement or heard a single statement from the man who is squatting in the commissioner's chair. They have national security advisors. I recall some time ago they said that Harry Gill is an advisor. So from to the Minister of Home Affairs. What are they advising on? And all of these people are silent. All of these people are silent. And that is part of the thing. They're drawing money under false pretense. Hope Soku looking at that. Now, let me say this. I read a letter that I thought it important to comment on. And this is part of the problem too. This is a letter of September the 6th. And it headlined the Stabrook News, taxi driver charged with death of motorcyclist on Mandela Avenue. We reported that accident before, where the story is that the motor car, some lightly torn into the path of the motorcyclist. The motorcyclist crashed into him and died. And the matter went before the court. They said that it is alleged on Friday, September 1 on Mandela Avenue, Cemetery Road, George Mackenzie drove a car toward the 165 in a manner dangerous to the public, thereby causing the death of 33-year-old Martin Samuel. But he went to court and he pleaded not guilty to causing death by dangerous driving. But here what this thing says, this is what is reported. In court, the family members of the deceased decided that they no longer wish to proceed with the matter. And they're quoted as saying, one of them, I guess, Your Worship, I understand everything that was said, but we wish not to proceed with the matter. Let this man be free, one of them said. Now, that is part of the problem. Let me make this clear. Let me make this pellucid. That the family members have nothing to do with the criminal or whatever proceedings before the court. Nothing unless they're a witness. They go and they give evidence. The family members can't decide that this matter must not continue. And that is part of the problem we have. We have so often, people get involved in accident. They pay for funeral. They pay something. And the magistrate would listen to what family members say. I don't know. So how come you expect these things are to be addressed? Because what is likely to happen, that people with money go and pay, and then the family members have nothing to do with whether the matter proceed or not. Nothing. If they are witness to the accident, they give a statement, they go and they give the evidence when the time comes for the trial. If they go and they are hostile as a witness, they can be dealt with in the appropriate manner. But that is what is going on. A lot of accidents, fatal accidents, and family member or some survivor go and say, we want nothing to take some money. That has to stop. That is one of the things that has to stop. That is one of the things that has to stop. And then to beat it all, when we're talking about madness and the police and the government inability to deal with this thing, if you really believe that we are just nitpicking, can't you believe that we are unduly critical? I don't think so. We have to point out these things. If you believe that we're talking stupidness, look at what is reported in the newspaper this morning. Look at what was on social media and on Newsroom yesterday. You know what they're saying? The police issued a list. Let me read this thing. This thing ain't real, you know. This thing can't be real. And this is Newsroom. On the 10th of September, this is yesterday. The police releases names of road users with multiple speeding violations in the last 3 months on New Eccles Mandela Highway. So the police released the names, and the thing goes on to say over 10,000 speeding violations were recorded in the last 3 months, and the police force has moved to release the names of 100 persons with multiple speeding violations as it is taking strict action against reckless road users. The Guyana Police Force embarked on this new initiative using technology to curb the road carnage and the increase in road deaths caused by reckless driving using frequent robust traffic enforcement exercises across Guyana. There will be zero tolerance for traffic offenders, and more persons will be placed before the courts once they break the traffic law. Following is the list of road users with multiple violations in the last 90 days. And here, you wouldn't believe this. You would not believe this, but it is true. Check Newsroom. They have here a matrix. I'll show it to you. The matrix has road users with multiple speeding violations, and there's over 75 kilometers an hour. Then say what is the prescribed speed in the area, but I tell you 75 kilometer, they're over that. So I suspect they're saying that 75 is the prescribed. Let me give them that. They got a name here. The first name, number of times speeding, 69. Listen to this, folks. The police are proud to tell you that the number of times a person has been caught speeding in that period of time, that relatively short period of time, 69 times. The next man is 53, and they come right down to the last person 13 times. And the question, therefore, is, if these people are multiple or frequent violators, recidivists, if that is the correct word, what have you done to them? Are they still driving? What measures have you taken to get them, to bring them to books? What? So you're saying that a man is caught speeding in this period of time, 3 months, 69 times in 3 months. They didn't say whether they have been issued with tickets. They haven't said whether these people were charged and placed before the court. They haven't said the outcome. But all they are saying is that one man, I'm going to call his name, they put his name because I believe it's unfair. Because all they have here, the name of a matter of fact, too, the name that they put is the name of the vehicle owner. The name of the vehicle owner. Well, the name of the vehicle owner is not necessarily the person who was driving at the time. And it is unfair to put the name of the vehicle owner when the vehicle owner may have nothing to do with the offense. That is how unprofessional these people are. And they vex when me and Conway talk. Because let me tell you, teaching again. Check section 45 of the Motor Vehicle and Road Traffic Act. It tells you that in a case like this, you only have the name of the registered owner of the vehicle. You have to serve a notice of identity on the registered owner to tell you who was driving the vehicle at that time. Let me repeat, section 45, backs it up. It says that in a case like this, where a vehicle commits a violation, you ain't got to stop the vehicle to find out who the driver is. You have to serve a notice of identity under section 45 of the Motor Vehicle and Road Traffic Act to the registered owner of the vehicle, commanding him to tell you who was the person driving the vehicle at that time. And the law provides that he has to give you the information or he can be charged and all of that. But to release the names of the registered owner and mean nothing. And then the apologists making some post this morning calling out one man name. How do you know that there is a person who was driving? How do you know that? This is just the registered owner of the vehicle. And there is a problem, and I know too, that in this thing where they release, like many buses don't speed at that road. Because for where you look at the B's, you know, I'll tell you how I get time. As a retiree, I get time. One bus number is mentioned, and you don't even know it's a passenger bus. But in terms of B1, in that 100, 1. So apparently buses don't drive there, or the buses that do drive there are angels that drive within the speed limit. Right? That. And then you look to cars, most of them are private cars. Well, it comes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, about 9 private cars. In terms of truck, like trucks don't drive there too. I see there are 2G, but you don't know if the G that they have are really trucks or just goods vehicles. You don't know. So that's what I'm saying, that all this you have to check. And Don is asking, why not check the driver's license? No, you can't. It appears as though this is some electronic thing they do. This is the impression I got from the release, that it's some camera or something catching these people. So all they have is the speed, the date, the time, the registered number of the vehicle. And they go into GRA, and GRA tell them, well, this is the owner of this particular vehicle. But what I'm saying, the law provides for you to take it to the next step. You have to serve a notice of identity under section 45 of the Motor Vehicle and Road Traffic Act to the owner, to the registered owner of the vehicle, and he is then obliged to tell you who was driving the vehicle at that time, failing which action can be taken against him or her. So yeah, please. And then the next thing that caught me, let me where the next one there, man. They have a next one too that they issued. They also issued a next one. That is the people, hold on, bear with me a minute, bear with me. Here I have it. The other one says, reckless road users, police release the name of 100 persons with fastest speeding rates in 3 months. The fastest speeding rates in 3 months. So it's 2 lists they release. 2 lists, the frequent offenders, the repeat offenders, and then one with the fastest speeding rates. And what they have? The rate that they were driving at, the fastest man is 154 kilometers. Again, they have not said in this matrix what is the speed limit. And this one did not say where these offenses were committed. And I made a note that unless you say that, people don't really understand, don't get the context in which this information is provided. So, for example, if it's on the highway where the speed limit is 100 kilometers, it gives a different context to whether to if it's in Georgetown or if it's on the East Bank or on the East Coast, right? But then they say, again, vehicle owner, and then they tell you the license plate and the speed where they're going. A man going at all them speed, and they have not again said what action has been taken against these people. So how do you release information like this and not say what action you have taken or what action you intend to take to bring this thing under control? You think by just releasing, you're doing a name and shame thing, just release the information. And that is why I'm saying that these people don't have a clue as to how this matter should be addressed. Not a clue. They don't have a clue as to how the matter should be addressed. And when you talk about it, they are annoyed. They send their trolls. They send their sycophants to say all kind of thing. But my skin is thick. You could say whatever you want to say. As I say, I get control of this program. You talk stupidness, you're gonna be blocked. Your comment gonna be deleted. Come with something constructive, or sit back and learn. Sit back and learn, because a lot of people saying that they are learning. I was, some months ago, I had the privilege of speaking to a very respected lawyer in Guyana. And I was pleasantly surprised when the gentleman told me that he has been listening to this program in his time, and he has learned a lot from this program. He's a lawyer, respected person. Told me that. So a lot of people learning, even them, even though they don't want to admit it, they are learning. They are learning. They might be annoyed with the method and the fact that they're being skinned up, but we will continue to do that. We will continue. As some people say, beat and teach. You got to beat and teach. And let me say this too. Again, in terms of the comprehensive nature of this whole, how you have to address this issue. I am trained to observe. I am trained to observe. And in the accident that occurred Saturday night again, the vehicle that was going towards Borvis, which had the young girl and her father, the driver, all three of them died. Check the license plate of the vehicle. I say I a car, but check the license plate. The man cut and loading. All of those things have to be looked at. In other words, when we say cut and load, it means a private car operating for hire. So it's almost everything got to be looked at. And if you read today's paper, one of the papers today, the 45, a man is complaining about what happens at the 45 bus park. Basically mafia style. If you're not with them, the touts controlling thing. Read it, sorry, read it. The touts control which bus must be loaded, which must not be loaded. They get, I think, $120 for every passenger they put in a bus. And they are preventing other buses from getting passengers. Their inclusion with drivers, that is the allegation, where they box out particular buses so they can't get to the front to get passengers. It's mafia-style arrangement and bullying people. And, again, I passed through that, When I was traffic chief, I had a program to deal with touts. People will tell you the touting arrangement had already almost gone erased completely because of a program we had to deal with them. And we're not saying that people must not earn a living. We don't want to deprive, I just said at the time. But you have to have some order. You have to have some order. And again, to quote Bishop Edgell, he says here, a practice that must never be condoned. Let me read back the whole paragraph. Edgell said his ministry has noticed an increasingly alarming trend of excessive speeding and reckless driving on the nation's road. A practice that must never be condoned in a civilized society. I agree, but it appears as though Guyana is not a civilized society because these things are happening with impunity. So Guyana is not a civilized society. It's not a real place. See, we got 1 hour and a half, and we said we got to stick to hour and 30 minutes on today, Monday. Let me bring you in for your closing remarks, man.
All right, let me just add to what you said, Paul. And I did talking about reckless, careless, and dangerous driving and exceeding the speed limit. They talk about restrictions and prosecution under certain sections. And I want to read it to you. You mentioned section 45. And it will say, because what happened is that coming out of the police officers conference, I think was last year, they said they quoted the president saying that those cameras will replace boots on the ground. The cameras will replace boots on the ground. And they're experimenting with a system now where the cameras picking up certain information. Person speeding, you refer to it, person speeding 69 times and 52 times and 40 something times. Look at the figures. Now that the cameras will pick you up, and I think it is able to penetrate and see whether the driver had on his seatbelt or not. And the information is sent to the Ghana Revenue Authority and the police. And I'm doing a little PR work for them at no cost, because if I put a cost to them, I'm going to end up in conspiracy to defraud the Guyana Police Force. Now that information is filtered down to the GRA and to the police. And remember, the GRA is the custodian of tell you who is the own registered owner of the vehicle. So that's what they're doing. They camera catching you, to use common terms, information sent to GRA and the police. So they see you without seatbelt, and they see you driving maybe recklessly and dangerously and carelessly and above the speed limit. But here what the law said: when a person is prosecuted for an offense under any of the provision of this act relating respectively to the maximum speed and at which motor vehicles may be driven to reckless or dangerous driving or careless driving, he shall not be convicted unless either A, he was warned at the time of the offense was committed that the question of prosecuting for any of the offense under one or other of the provisions aforesaid would be taken into consideration, or B, within 14 days of the offense, a summons for the offense was served on him, or C, within the said 14 days, a notice of intended prosecution specifying the nature of the alleged offense and the time and place where it is alleged to have been committed was served on him or sent by registered post to him or the owner of the vehicle at the time of the commission of the offense, provided that failure to comply with this requirement shall not be a bar to conviction of the accused in any case where the court is satisfied that A, neither the name and address of the accused nor the name and address of the owner of the vehicle could with reasonable diligence have been ascertained in time for the summons to be served or for a notice of the service to be sent, as aforesaid said. The accused by his own conduct contributed to the failure. Now the thing is saying that reckless, careless, dangerous driving or exceeding speed limit, the person should be warned at the time of the offense committed. Normally we used to have a warning formula. I think I remember you will be reported for the question to be considered for prosecuting for you for one or more offense, reckless, careless, dangerous driving, or exceeding the speed limit. Or within 14 days, either you summons or you charge a person. And within 14 days, a notice of intended prosecution. You gotta serve the person with a notice of intended prosecution, specifying the place where and the time and the place where the offense is alleged to have committed. Now, they're putting up the cameras and doing their own thing, and it's not done in any reference with the law. They have to amend this law. They have to amend this law because what they're doing is if they're going to carry people to court, it would be illegal because person say, hey, that I was not one of intended prosecution at the scene when the offense committed. You didn't charge me or summons me within 14 days, or within the 14 days, you didn't serve me with any notice of intended prosecution. It's always good to make up policies, but the policies got to work in ambit with the law. It got to fit neatly within the ambit of the law. And they're putting up cameras and all kind of thing, and then they might send tickets to people. The whole thing is need properly thought. It's a good intention that you want to speak. You want to bring sanity down our roads, but it must be done within the ambit of the law. The rule of law must prevail, and person must get a right to be heard. And most so a right to be heard in court. They must be able to be go to court. And also, as I mentioned earlier, that it's time that they start do a lot of allow ex parte trial. If the person doesn't come to court, go and give the ex parte trial, and also at the end of it, warrant is issued that you execute the warrant. So it's not a one shot solution, it's a whole process that has to go across. That's what I want to say.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you. Have a wonderful day and have a wonderful week. Folks, let me say this. Mr. Conway, my colleague, raised an excellent point there. And again, this is the benefit of the police. And you know, they say, well, we are educating the members of the public as well. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. You must do the police must do the correct thing. Because all of those people they're caught speeding on these roads. Unless you follow that section where the thing is clear, because remember you will not have issued them with a ticket. You have to go through the process of Section 45 to find out who was get the registered owner, to find out who was driving at the time. And then once you find out who was driving at the time, you have to serve the person a notice of intended prosecution within the 14 days. Other than that, the person goes to court, you're charging them for exceeding the speed limit, not guilty, and your case gone down the drain. Case, because this is not a case based on what they're saying, where you're using the speed gun and you're stopping a person and you're issuing them a ticket on the spot. This is a case where you have some electronic system and you have to go through a process to get the information out of that. Look at the law and follow. Y'all misleading the president. Well, perhaps not misleading, because you can only mislead if you know. But if you don't know, you can't mislead. And that is the problem. The people don't know. Or perhaps those who know are not being listened to. And that is the problem you have, because you're going to go through all of this thing, spend a lot of time, spend a lot of money, and the process go to court, the matter gone down. And what happens in many cases, because of persons don't know the right person, just ignorant of the law, you give them a ticket, or some stage you decide to go to court, they don't want the hassle, so they go to court and they plead guilty, and that's the end of the matter, right? So, folks, again, we are like Rowan is saying, put in care at a strategic location. All measures, Rowan, all measures have to be taken. This thing has reached epidemic proportions, and it requires people sitting down and looking at this thing in a very comprehensive way. Learn a driver, driving school. I made the point before, somebody raised it on a thing. The time when you have police certifying vehicle to be fit on the road should cease. You have to have a Department of Transportation which deals with that type of thing. They have all the necessary equipment and machinery, and if you get emission standards and all those type of things. Not a policeman just come and issue something. You can't do that. You can't. If you are wanting to bring this thing into control, you can't. Animals on the road, building waste, people driving and failing to keep them on the left and near side. All of that you have to deal with. You seem to be focusing on speeding, which you should, and driving under the influence. But there are a lot of other factors. How did the person get license in the first place? They are not addressing that. Following every single accident, the driver or the motorcyclist, you should investigate to see how and when they got their license. That might be very revealing. That is the type of statistics we're talking about if you want to do something meaningful. Not just a yes speeding, yes driving under the influence of alcohol and that. So, folks, our first Monday, today, the 11th of September, our Monday program. Again, time just run. Time, we said we're going to try to stick to 1.5 hours. We are already at 1 hour and 37 minutes. I hope that we brought you some very good information based on the feedback we have been getting in the comments. Yes, we have been doing so. We will continue to do so. Again, like I do when we leave on Wednesdays, I want to caution you to be safe. COVID, I understand a lot of people are coming down with COVID again. Dengue is still around, dengue fever in Guyana. And perhaps now this road issue The road fatalities, whether they call it road accident or incidents, people dying on the road, is of national concern. Must be of national concern. When you have a young, promising child, valedictorian at our school, getting an award, or father, again I say, an employee of Guy Oil, must have been so proud when the people called to have this special function for his daughter to give her an award. I sure that you're overjoyed. Family overjoyed, and his country people, so I know I'm a countryman, overjoyed. And then what happened? They're going back with all this joy and elation, and some crazy driver on the road snuffed the life of that young child out. And people sitting back, and they're going to tell you condolences, thoughts, and prayers. Now, time for condolences, thoughts, and prayers is over, long gone. That time is long gone. You have to come up and let the nation know what you intend to do. Calling the nation to be responsible is good, but you have got to lead the way. You have got to show responsibility by taking drastic measures to address this issue. And I'm sure if you should implement measures now, and once the measures are uniformly applied, people are going to be on your corner. People are going to be, because people are scared, people are disgusted with what's going on. Talk to any foreigner who comes into Guyana, even locals who come back. One of the things they will always tell you how scared they are when they are driving on the road. And you're talking about tourism and all that. This week and into next week, you're going to have Cricket Carnival, where a lot of people traveling to Guyana to watch the CPL cricket. And that is what they're going to be confronted with. I hope measures are going to be put in place and continue to remain in place to make sure that those persons are safe. I want to leave today, again, to wish you, well, we ain't get long, next 48 hours or so, because on Wednesday, we're going to be back with our regular program. Wednesday, we're going to be back. And you're going to love Wednesday. You're going to love Wednesday. Because Wednesday, I get some, well, I don't want to reveal too much, but Wednesday, I get some things to talk about. Wednesday, I have some things to talk about. So, pass the word. I mean, the attendance today was beyond my expectation, because coming Monday, I know a lot of people would have missed this. A lot of people. But let them know Wednesday class is going to be there. Just tell them that they could go on Facebook, social, YouTube shortly after now, and they are going to see. But I know people like being in class. People like being in class to be able to make their comments and to interact with their fellow students and so on. I know that. But today, again, as I say, is the first Monday in this new thing that we decided. Remember I said last week, let me caution you, that we said that we come in today, Monday. But at this stage, we have not committed to every Monday. Because, for example, next month, and some people have made suggestions from not next month, from next 2 Mondays, I think it is, we have to be in court. And the magistrate has set successive or consecutive Mondays for this trumped up, the charges for this trumped up thing. So we might not be able to be here every Monday, but we will let you know. And again, subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow the Facebook page, Speaking Out, and you are going to get the notification when we go live. So until Wednesday, I almost said next week, until Wednesday, be good, and see you then for another episode of Speaking Out, exposing corruption and incompetence. Until then, bye, have a good day.